Not every news report is credible, not every problem is a catastrophe, and not every issue needs to turn into PC hardware hysteria. Let's discuss. There is no sponsor for this video because, honestly, I'm not really quite sure how it's going to be received. Hopefully, it strikes a chord with some of you because this topic has really gotten under my skin over the past year. If you guys know me, you're probably aware that I'm not one to quickly jump on rumors, or speculation, or Reddit threads, or reports of malfunctions or failures of products or companies right away. In fact, I mostly steer clear of the news type of topics in favor of product testing, how-tos, and builds. I made this conscious decision when I first started the channel as a way of insulating myself from the exact kind of thing that seems to be taking hold with some tech media. And that is unnecessary fear-mongering, honestly, for the sake of clicks. Some outlets mask this as reporting, or just for your information, or I'm not saying this is true, but this is what I've heard. But it all boils down to our collective lust for a juicy story. It's like the drunk girl that you meet at a party who tells you that she hates drama, but you know that she's going to be the one that's going to be starting some shit. Clicks are nice. Views are good. Revenue is there to be had, but we shouldn't be rewarding sites or channels that put forth minimum effort types of content with half-baked theories and the sketchiest of sources just so they can be the first to report on what might be the next big outrage in the PC industry. Let's back up a bit here for a frame of reference. The most recent example of this was the report out of a German repair shop that AMD GPU dies are cracking in half. The first theory postulated was that this was the result of AMD's latest drivers somehow pushing so much voltage through the core that it physically split in half. While theoretically possible, when this story first broke, my first reaction wasn't, I need to make a video on this. It was, are we sure that's what it is? We should all be more like Ted Lasso.
Be curious, not judgmental.
Yet there were multiple channels who made videos and multiple websites who wrote articles saying how you need to roll back your drivers or your card could be next. I even started to get comments on my latest video about how the all AMD system that I had just built was going to break because I was using an AMD GPU that was going to split apart. As it turns out, the real reason for this was that these cards all came from the same reseller. They were secondhand cards purchased from a mining operation that didn't keep them in the proper humidity. Vapor got underneath the die, and when it heated up, it expanded and caused the dies to crack. This had nothing to do with drivers. It had nothing to do with AMD. It had nothing to do with new cards. It had nothing to do with any retailers. Rewind a few weeks when the AMD vapor chamber issue came to light. For those of you not familiar, AMD released a batch of 7900 XTX cards with an improper amount of water inside the vapor chamber of the GPU's cooler. As a result, the cards would hit thermal limits and throttle under load. This was and is a real issue, but it's not a safety hazard as some had reported. It's not something that would develop over time with every card. It's not even a widespread problem, as the manufacturing batch was relatively small and has been identified for a recall. Again, I got comments on any video that I put out that mentioned the 7900 XTX that it's a bad card, I shouldn't use or recommend it, and they all run at 100 degrees Celsius. My card does not do this, and if it doesn't already have the issue, this isn't something that will cause me any issue moving forward. The problem was that there were many videos that were hastily recorded and published before the real extent of the problem was known, and as a result, we again got panic from everybody who might have purchased one of these cards. This was before AMD even came out and said, this is the issue, we're aware of it, and we're fixing it. These are definitely isolated incidents though, right? Well, I don't know, how about we take it back to late 2022? When apparently all of NVIDIA's 12VH power connectors were going to go up in flames because the design was so terribly flawed. From the jump on this one, I urged people to practice restraint when evaluating this situation. We had very little information except for a few posts on Reddit getting hugely amplified by hastily written articles or poorly thought out videos. Yet the hysteria spread like wildfire. I can't even count how many comments I got on my videos saying that it was irresponsible for me to recommend or use NVIDIA GPUs because someone could have their house burned down, or that NVIDIA was somehow behind all of this. I even had a talk behind the scenes at the peak of this madness with one of the most respected tech journalists in the world, where I expressed a moderate amount of concern, but said that ultimately I'm not entirely sure that we have the whole story here. And this person agreed with me 100%. Meanwhile, because it was the hottest of the hot button topics, channels and publications continued to churn out content without any real information, any evidence, or any thought to what this might do to the general public. Yeah, you know what? These videos did gangbuster views. They probably generated huge revenue. But they were wholly damaging the PC community because they were essentially disseminating misinformation on a large scale. As it turns out, this problem was limited to less than 100 instances worldwide and was largely due to user error. Not malevolence by NVIDIA, although I'm sure they certainly do have some of that. Not a problematic new connector that people just wanted a reason to hate because of the dongle. Not because the cards were drawing too much power. People just plugged them in wrong. But does any of this matter to the people who live and die by clickbait? Does it mean anything to them that they are doing unnecessary damage to the community, to the companies who they are targeting, even to other content creators who refuse to jump on the bandwagon? Nah, not really. This is inherently selfish behavior. It's done in the interest of self-preservation and more zeros on the paycheck. And to be honest, there are some people out there doing this who not only do I like, but that I have a good relationship with otherwise. It's upsetting to me to see people who I respect or look up to falling into this trap. It's also upsetting to me to see newer channels wholly embracing this way of delivering information and being rewarded for it in the form of views and subs. So maybe we as a community are to blame. Maybe we need some more introspection as to what draws our attention. Maybe we need to reevaluate what kind of content has actual merit. And I'm not sitting here stumping for my own channel. Subscribe or don't, that's on you if you enjoy what I do here, and a lot of people don't. But there are so many creators, writers, and makers out there who are really putting in the work, really hitting home runs with every release, really taking the time to do the research before publishing news articles, trying to solve problems rather than create them. I want to leave off here with a special mention of Gamers Nexus. Steve and I have done a lot of work together over the years, and I've watched his channel grow to maybe the most respected name here in this space. Not only do they do well-researched and tested pieces, but they're expanding into actual journalism like they did with the Artesian build situation and with EVGA. This is the kind of media outlet that deserves your attention, and I hope they get it. Let's try to do better as a group by being curious, not judgmental, by being cautious, not reckless, and by being reasonable and not hysterical. The next time you see a news item pop up about something that's gone wrong, it's okay to be interested in it. It's okay to follow up, and it's okay if this thing turns into a big deal. That happens. But not everything is Chernobyl, and having a measured response is generally the best way to go about things. Barbecue sauce.